Hey everybody, got another video here for you. This is going to be all the specifications on this truck. In the last video where I put the heads on, I gave some general specs, but just kind of the stuff that I could remember off the top of my head. So this is going to go into a little bit more detail. I actually looked up what brand of pistons I ended up using and stuff like that. So stay tuned. So starting with the block, the block is a remanufactured first-gen small block Chevy from Summit. It's a one-piece rear main seal. I actually had to get two of them because I messed up the rear main saddle on the first one and had to grab the saddle off of the second one. Yeah, you see most of the saddle. So that's where the block came from. And there's just, standard 4-bolt main small block Chevy. The one thing is that I had a two-piece rear crank I'm using in it, and so I had to use an adapter and get the correct oil pan and everything. So it turns out the only things I was able to reuse in this entire build was the crank and the cam and the rocker arms. The crank is Chevy billet steel or forged steel, whatever. They go for about $3,500, so that's the reason why I wanted to try to reuse that if I could. And the cam's a true roller. It's a crane. It's like a high 500s lift with like 240 duration. It's a little lower lift and less duration than your typical high performance cam because of the fact that it's running huge valves and huge runners and doesn't need all that duration or the lift in order to get the flow. The connecting rods are Eagle H-beam steel rods. Pistons are Speed Pro pistons with the coating on the skirts. It uses Total Seal rings. The heads you saw in the previous episode, the Brodix heads, the 223s, basically it's the largest stock geometry small block, the best flowing one with the biggest valves, small block Chevy head that you can get. And they make that head in one size larger, and that requires like a chisel rocker system. Let's see. Intake. I can actually show you the intake. So this is the induction system. It's K&N filters, some stack scoop thingies, a pair of 390s, double pumpers, 4-corner metering, dual block, dual feed. I've got the non-progressive linkage for them that'll turn them into basically each one in the, it turns it into like 4 synchronized wind barrels. So you would basically have 8 synchronized wind barrels there. And then Offenhauser individual runner intake. And that's pretty much it. Show you some of the details here. So the K&Ns, it's actually got both the K&N top and the K&N side filters for extra flow. And in here, it's got the little adapter thingy for extra flow. This might not be necessary because of the fact that it's got this kind of a air cleaner on it. I think this might be more for something that's got a lower kind of air cleaner. But and then down here, the spacer, carburetor's heavy. it's a individual. It's not one solid plenum, so there's really basically no plenum to speak of, which helps maintain the individual runner part of the design. This is the only plenum in the entire induction system, is this little bit right in here that's normally goes right under the car, but I can go this way, so. And that increases the overall length. I'm looking at, like, from my butterflies to the beginning of the head, I've got, oh, good 9-10 inches of straight shot port, more or less. And yeah, and then below that, you've just got your standard, what am I thinking? Dual quad setup, where your plenum would normally bolt above that, and then your dual quads would bolt onto the top of the plenum. So yeah, that's basically what this is, a modified dual quad tunnel ram, basically. And that's the induction system and the intake. The exhaust is really straightforward. It's just small tube headers going into some flex pipe. Then they go into a pair of turbo mufflers, and then it's just got a little tailpipe coming off the end of the turbo muffler, and that's it. And the flex pipe just goes like underneath the frame on both sides, back. See if we can get this thing to zoom. Right, so it goes like that, and it goes under the frame, and then over to the muffler. And this here's the transmission. It's a TCI Turbo 400, and it's got, like, you know, external coolers and stuff for it too. And the rear is actually a narrowed 10-bolt single track, and I had to make a mounting bracket for the panhard rod arm for this thing. The truck was a retired quarter-mile dragster, and then somebody was rebuilding it as one of these things that's all show and no go, and that's when I bought it, sight unseen, as a parts chaser. And this is what it came with, so. But that's okay. It's actually got 208 rear gears, which makes them very highway. And so it doesn't do so bad on mileage, despite the high performance engine. And of course it has the custom drive shaft, all spec'd out to match the two ends, the transmission in the rear. So suspension. On the front end, a previous owner cut the coils in order to drop the nose, and it's pretty darn spongy actually as far as the front suspension goes. And on the rear it has a not very high quality narrow and tub job on the frame, and leaf springs. No, sorry, it's got where's this? No, it's got coilovers back here. Yeah, coilovers back there, trailing arms, and a panhard rod. And as soon as I got the truck, the weld for the panhard rod bracket broke off the top of the rear pumpkin, and I had to fab up that bracket for it. Let's see, as long as I'm back here, yeah, it's got rear drum brakes. Nothing to write home about. This thing will stop. That's about all you can say. Fortunately, it does have discs on the front, so it's not all that bad. One nice thing about this is that the truck, I guess along the lines of making it like show and not go and easy to drive and things like that, they put those highway gears in the back, and they also took the power steering out of a Chevette and put it on the truck. So it does have power steering, which is nice. So wheels on this thing, it's running weld drag lights at all four corners, and it's got Dunlop GT qualifiers up here on the front. The back's not on at the moment. I'll go dig those out. In general, I like this kind of tire because it's got a wide footprint, but it's also got a good rain race pattern to it, so they're not too bad in wet weather. So there's the new tires for the back, and there's the old fuel cell, which I'll probably be reusing. There's the valve covers. Edelbrock's. And there's the new rims for the back. The old rims and tires were stolen off of the truck. I don't really have any plans to install this thing at the moment, but I do have a full width rear end for the truck here. This is it's a 12-bolt posi traction full width rear out of a 1971 Chevelle station wagon, and I've cracked open the pumpkin and the thing is absolutely brand new, perfect inside. Totally clean, no gear wear, nothing at all. It's just like it came out of the factory. And as you can see, it's already got the perches welded up here to fit with the truck's rear suspension system. So someday if I get motivated, I can slap that thing in it. And over here, I've got a couple other fuel cells to choose from. And this thing right here, that's actually the tonneau cover for the bed of the truck. The previous owner who did all the show truck stuff to it made a custom tonneau cover for it, and it snaps all around the edge of the bed. And as I recall, the tonneau's still in serviceable condition. So I've got this, and I believe that's a 22-gallon cell. And I've also got this one over here, which is, I don't remember what size it is. It might be a 26 or something like that. But yeah, I might use one of these larger fuel cells in the truck. So, the cooling system. Needless to say, trying to keep this thing under control temperature-wise when you're stuck in traffic on the Capitol Beltway for 4 hours in the afternoon in 90-degree weather is a bit of a chore. So I ended up having to go with twin aluminum, I guess these are what, 5-core big block radiators. And then I've got 4 Blackmagic cooling fans on the back of them, and they move like 11,500 CFM a piece or something crazy like that. So yeah, I've got almost like 50,000 CFM of cooling on these 2 radiators. And then you use these split pipes in order to plumb the 2 radiators back into the in and the out for the water pump and the intake manifold. And then it's also got that's the transmission cooler there with the fan, and then that lower thing here, this long guy, that's a second transmission inline cooler and filter. The ignition system, as you can see, it's an MSD 6A, and it's also got the MSD coil to go with it. And then it's also got and there's the MSD distributor to go with it. So you've seen the fuel cells and you've seen the carbs, and this is the rest of the fuel system. It consists of a BG fuel pump, electric fuel pump, and up at this end, the fuel pressure regulator, which just mounts right up on the, as I recall, it goes on a thermostat housing bolt or something like that. And as far as the oiling system goes, it's not really that fancy. There's a Melling high volume oil pump in there with a steel drive shaft, and it's got the high volume street pan, so you still got some ground clearance. And then just, regular oil filter. Just the adapters on the other side. But yeah, and that's about it. Just change your oil often, right? So for the stereo, I'm still piecing it together. They stole the stereo and the gauges and the tires. Well, at least part of it. They didn't get the subs. Yeah, so these are the subs. They're Orion NTs rated at 600 a piece. They're dual voice coil speakers. And I just slapped them in a sub box that's designed to go behind the seat of a pickup seat. Check it out. It's a mommy wolf spider. She doesn't have any little babies yet. She's got a big tail. That means she's a female. She's big for a female too. She's probably just where you're standing right there. She's almost 3 inches across sideways and at least 3 in length. So yeah, we don't want to disturb her. That's a good critter to have around. It keeps all the rest of the bugs at bay, and they're more scared of us than we are of them. But as you can see, I'm going to be running 4 6x9s for the stereo, and I've still got to get like four good 6x9 speakers to go with it. So this is what I have so far for stereo components for the truck. Got a dual head unit, does AM, FM cassette, and XM satellite, something like that. This is like a Bluetooth EQ or something of that sort. I'm not really impressed with it. I don't think I'm going to use it. I want something where I can just reach over and crank up the bass. This is a 1,000 watt amp for driving the 6x9s, and then a pair of 500 watt amps, one for each of the subwoofers. So, I almost forgot the valve train. Like I said, it's got a crane cam in it, true roller cam. Little less duration and lift than what would be typical for a race application. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, and the cam's been in there for decades probably, so very little chance of me having the original cam card. The lifters are Howard's units, and this says full oiling down at the down here, so you can run them on the street continuously. These are not sportsman style, which are only good for like a quarter mile at a time. And let's see what else we got here. New push rods, comp cam push rods. The old ones were a little too small, so yeah. In fact, I think that's an old and a new one there, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, these are the new ones. These are the locks. Oh yeah, that's another part. Forgot about that. Oh, guide plates. And studs, and this and the crank and the cam are the only things I was able to reuse on the whole build. It's a reman block, but yeah, everything else on it is new or remanufactured. I guess the block's the only remanufactured thing, and everything else is new, except for these. These are Howard's also. And that just leaves, let's see, push rods, lifters, rocker arms. Yeah, one more piece. Well, while I'm here, of course you need a high torque starter in order to get everything going. And there's a water pump, nothing fancy. Standard aluminum Edelbrock unit, most likely. And there's the torque converter for it. I think this is probably also a TCI unit. As you can see, it's a full size, like a 12-inch or whatever, but it does have a higher than stock stall speed. And this is the last part of the valve train. This is the stud girdle. The adjuster for the rocker arm goes on the stud, and then this goes over all the adjusters. And then it's got like Allen lock screw things in the back here to keep everything tight. And yeah, this is a Brodix part. This is made specifically for these heads. Well, they also fit the 11X head, as I recall. And last but not least, we have the stickers. As we all know, cool parts are cool. Cool parts with cool stickers are even cooler. Yeah, and some of these are, you know how it is. You gotta buy a $1,000 part if you want to get a 50-cent sticker. So let's see what we got here. We've got Holley, Brodix, Moroso, K&N, Cometic, Offenhauser, that's a rare one. Brodix is a rare one. Eagle, that's a rare one. Total Seal, ARP, and of course Moroso. And then over on this side, every time you order something from Summit, they send you one of these guys. So yeah, I've been buying a lot of parts. But anyway, yeah, so that's it for everything on the truck. And I'm building guitars this weekend, but come next week I should be getting back to get this stand working. There we go. Yeah, coming back next week, I'll be getting back to working on the valve train for the truck. So you can look for that episode coming up. And until then, everybody, have a good one. Go burn some rubber.